Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is Connie, coming down today to share with you the second part of the card video that I had initially shared the bare paper piece with. This is going to be how I put my flowers together. And before I start, I'm using a 140-pound weight watercolor cardstock, and that's what I stamped my card or flowers on. And I used, instead of black, I used a hybrid basic gray from Stampin' Up. Don't know if it's still available. It's just what I have, and I like the little bit lighter color. I didn't want it quite so dark on there, so that's why I don't use black. It might look darker than it is, but black would be very intense. So what I use for my flowers, and I'm using for all the parts, is the small wild rose die, and you don't. It's stamp, the die, and the shaping mold. You don't have to use these. This is just how I color my flowers and make them. I'm not going to show you how I do the manual shaping of them, but I'll give you an idea because I can't do it anymore. I'm really sorry. Not on this heavy a cardstock. I tried recently to use my 65-pound Bristol vellum cardstock, and it was a very humid day, and I had a mess. Now in the winter, it works fine. In the summer, I use heavy cardstock. The 65-pound weight, I can still manually shape them. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. To color the center of my flowers, I have personally found it easiest to use uh, the crocodile, or I call them alligator clips. I don't know what they are, but with the pom pom. I have a 5 millimeter pom pom. It looks pretty used. It is used and abused, but that's what I use. And I just start in the center and go in a circular motion. And I go out a little bit. Okay. And if you're going, I forgot to mention that when I stamp them, the die will go around these three. So it's going to cut out. It's easier for me to color these when they're still all together instead of die cutting them and then coloring them. I found this really does work for me. It's whatever works for you. But that's how I start, whatever color I want to use in the middle. And I see I forgot to bring one thing, so when I get to that, I will stop. Now, I've got two different shapes of flowers here, and I think I have three different sizes, to be honest. Yeah, I've got three different sizes here. This size should make the smallest one. These two are shaped the same, and I'm sorry for the lighting, guys. It's just really hard for me anymore to get decent lighting around here, so doing the best I can. But anyway, this is that's one shape of it. This is another way to shape it, okay? So I'm going to do this one for this small flower. I'll explain how to do these two, though. It's quite similar. It's just a matter of flipping them. Now, these flowers, the color might look darker. The light pink color, it's actually kind of a uh, blush color pink. It's the Tim Holtz Distress Tattered Rose, I think it is. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I can't remember. But this one, I'm making it a little bit darker. I think this is a retired color. It's Blushing Bride. And I'm using my round blending brushes. I just got these from Amazon. I've got different sizes. I think, oops, duh. I'm not sure even. The sizes aren't given, so I have no clue. My great niece was over today and me. I was showing her how to do some things. And these are still kind of messy. Now I tap off. Okay, I don't want a lot of ink on my blending brush. This may be a little bit wet. It doesn't feel it, but I can't say. And what I do is I just kind of lightly go around. Um, and I'm sorry if the camera's shaking some. I just go around and color my petals. You can add more ink. So now the other thing, if you don't have these blending brushes, it's no big deal. You can also use Copic markers. You can use finger daubers. You know, I have quite a bit of ink on here. If I can start from the other end, I gotta be careful because I don't want. I think the brush is still a little bit wet, to be honest with you. That's not really working the best, but unfortunately, what I have right now, it'll still be fine. Not all flowers look the same. Not every leaf is the same, so I don't get too excited. Let's finish these three and then I guess four. I can't even count anymore today. I think the wind it's been extremely windy here. I think it finally just has worn me out. Okay, you can leave them as they are, or I can find the next darker color. I figure out where it is at. I'm gonna bring in a little bit of Flurry Flamingo. It's pink. It's kind of a I've got a tinge of pink in it to me. I'm just gonna grab some left in my lid. Sorry for that glare. I'm going to start at the yellowish and just kind of pull a little bit of color in. It's not going to be very much at all. I just want it to be very subtle. Okay. You don't have to do this. I just add a little bit of color. And that's why I like my blending brushes because I can do a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. So, and yeah, like that. We'll put that one on the bottom. You won't see it so much. I can blend it out a little bit with the in some, not much. This leaf is bothering me, so it's definitely going on the bottom. Um, I wasn't really planning on doing a video tonight, and I can't sleep, so I thought I might as well get this done. I apologize. Sometimes it takes me a while to get back at my videos. I'm having to spend a lot of time uh, in my chair, so if you want now, you can come back and, blend these out a little bit more. They're not going to blend a whole lot, but some. Then, get those out of the way. I'm going to get my die out where they really don't look. The light keeps flickering and moving on me. They don't look as bad in person as they kind of look right now, and they'll look different when they get die cut. But I never can remember how this goes on, to be honest. I have to play with it. And I put tape on mine because I run it through a few times and I don't want it to move. I get it centered as best I can, so a couple little pieces on it, a little bigger than I expected. Okay, I have my die cutting machine right over to the side here. Oops. The next thing I do, I've got, goodness, a wild handle on my Big Shot. Okay, so I pop them out. The garbage, I take a sponge dauber. I do not have good luck with blending brush on this case, okay? Then I go around just the very tips if you want that darker tip on there, okay? And I just go around like this, and you can see the difference in them. I'm sure I know there used to be, I'm sure there's plenty of different papers. There used to be, I think, don't get me wrong, special paper for flower making, I just use what I have. I don't go out and buy anything too special. Okay, now I'm going to cut my centers, punch my centers. You don't have to do this if you're not using Stamens. I am using Stamens, so I'm going to punch centers. I will show you this way. I have to do it upside down so I know where the hole is, or approximately where the hole is. I'm going to mark it. I will have a mess otherwise. So let's see. Okay, got a little tiny hole in it. If you don't have a hole punch, this is, I think, 1/16 of an inch. Almost positive. Might be 1/32. I don't know. I've had it forever. I have no idea. Um, if it has a name on it, I can't read. My sister gave it to me a long time ago. You can use like an awl or something, a pokey tool of some sort, and a mat, and just punch your hole in. I want to get these fairly close, so I'm going to line them up a bit. There. Do my other one right away. Let's see. I think this is it. It would help if I do it the right side up. Now, also, if you want the back of your flower to have some color, just use a sponge daub or whatever and do the back of it. I sometimes do. I'm not on these. This is really more for a demonstration. I didn't on those. Certainly can. This depends upon the day I'm having and what I feel like doing. So, okay. Now, it's out of the way. I'm going to spray these with water. I'm going to bring in, like I said, my great niece was here today. She made a mess, which is fine. I'd rather I just had to use my old towels and stuff, but I'm going to spray. I only spray the backs of mine, and I don't want to get the paper wet, so I don't have to, so I just keep switching everything. But um, helps if you get the sprayer going the right direction. I use a mini mister, Jim Holtz mini mister or Ranger mini mister. I'm not sure. And then what I do, because normally I would give these some time to dry, as much, a couple hours, maybe even overnight. It does work better, especially if you're using lightweight paper. I definitely would. And that's what happened the other day. I didn't, and what a mess. I really had a mess. So I was going to mold these by hand. What I would do is I take my, oh goodness, eh, you know, I should have taken my niece up on, right niece up on organizing. She's a good one to organize. Anyway, I take my paper tool, shaping tools. All of a sudden, with the ballpoint, I can't think tonight. I'm really sorry. I know these have a name. Don't mistake me. I take my shaping mat and I'll go around in circles. Okay, I do the backs. I don't have to do that because I'm using my shaping molds. Because I'm doing this one, so one petal is going to curl up. Trying to make room for everything here. There's my shaping mold. I will, let me put it this way so you can see. This is the bottom, the thick part if you happen to have this, and then the top piece. I'm going to put, to think about this, two down and my little ones. And I have a method to my madness to put these in properly. Two down, one up. So if you're shaping them by hand too, you shape the back of two of them, the front of one. Let me think about this. I had this figured out. If I put it this way, yeah, that's right. Not terrible. Now I have to use several shims, several sheets of shim, which I have ready. I just have to take my mat out, or my platform for my big shot, But what I do is I have my well of plates. I take my two acrylic plates, that old Big Shot, you see, and put them between. Okay? And then I have, I don't know, I think I'm down to, I got 3 pieces of just filler paper for notebooks. I think that's going to be enough. And I do recommend being sure to punch holes before you shape. You can do it afterwards, but it is more difficult, and I do recommend, doing it before. So the other 3 that I first made, I didn't, and I had a kind of a mess. So okay, I have to go grab my shaping mat or my mm, mat after all. So give me just a moment. I'm sorry, I should have been more organized. I just used an old mouse pad. Works perfectly fine. It's used and abused. Okay, the 2 that you put and you shaped the back of or put face down in the mold, you're now going to put face up and looking for the 2 sizes I want. I'm using 3 millimeter and 5 millimeter. I'm going to start with the 3 millimeters, the small one, and I'm just going to run around the inside here. And you don't have to do it a lot, just a little bit. Kind of brings it up a little, brings these outside petals up a little bit. Okay, basically all I'm doing there. This one, where the petals curve up, I don't know if you can see this. They curve up and out. The one that we put in face up or shaped this side of it, the petals curve up and inward. Okay, and that's what we want. And now I'm going to turn it over, ironically, and I'm just going to start cupping this, going in circles. This one takes a little bit longer to shape. I'm going to come in with my 5 millimeter. It helps me if I double this over, I get more, I can shape better. It's just easier. Now I'm just going to kind of pull my petals together and just shape them so they're somewhat together. And then I'll be gluing the rest. And I'm using regular glue instead of hot glue, so it takes a little bit longer to dry. I have a hot glue gun, but I'm not a fan of hot glue, so I don't use it very often. Oh, I keep putting this mat over here and I do need it. Okay, so I'm going to take the 2 pieces where the leaves are going up and out. Okay, and I'm just going to put glue around the hole. I don't want it covering the hole. I want to be able to get my stamens through there. And I have a trick to do that also. I stagger my petals, sorry, and there's this bigger one, I try to get those kind of across from each other as best I can on these. So, and try to get the holes somewhat centered. I like to hold these for a little bit and actually push down on them to get the glue to dry. I just got my 5 millimeter. Um, I don't know. I can't think of the name of these. Stylus. Is that right? I don't know. I'm sure you're laughing at me. That's okay. And then what I do is on this one, on the yellow part, what I'm going to do is, again, put glue around the center. I have to use tweezers for everything. I'm still going to center my petals as best I can. The smaller the flowers, the more difficult it is for me to work with. So So I know they're in the center. The hole's about in the center. And I'm sorry you can't see right now. I will move my hand in a moment. Just holding my petals there until I could get my ball stylus in there. Just to hold everything tight. Now I'm going to start gluing, you can see, just the top layer, these petals together somewhat. And some are overlapping. I'll even use my tweezers to hold them together a little bit. And I kind of shape them and form them as I go. They're going to move a little bit. I don't get too excited about it. If you're using lighter weight paper, you'll find that they form so much easier. But again, it's just what works for me. It all comes together. Now I'm going to take this one, this leaf here, this petal, and curve it a little bit. This is why hot glue is a benefit. It's probably much better to use, and eventually I'll start using it. I just absolutely hate it. I think I told you one time I just about fried the electrical system in my parents' house, and so I'm just kind of afraid of it. I did learn never to overload the circuits though, or the outlets. Guess one thing good came out of it. I have a little too much glue here, but that's okay. You can really shape these however you want. They're just, just truly just work with them. I don't, I know there are a lot of ways to make rosebuds and that. I just don't get that involved on these smaller flowers. They end up turning out just fine the way they are. So by the time I get done, I piddle with them for quite a while till I get them shaped the way I want. Just hold it for a little bit. This one being a lot smaller than this one, they do look a little different, but they work. Now, I don't have the stamens in the middle, and I forgot to grab them, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll be right back. Gotta put my glue back in the holder. Just one moment. Okay, so now my stamens here. Get these tools out of the way a minute. And make this just a little, not quite so bright. Maybe that will be a little better, I'm not sure. I am using, these are just some stamens I bought from somewhere. I don't know, AliExpress, Amazon, who knows? I have no clue. I'm just going to use two on the small ones. Oh, get the thing started. These are, probably doesn't show real well. No, they're just hair off of white almost. They're just the softest baby pink. Very, very soft. Okay, so how I put mine in, take them and hold them kind of in the middle together. I have a dental floss strand. You can see that with the loop on the end here. Just put the loop through here. So the loop is here. Fold them over in the middle. And I don't worry about them being too straight. I mean, I try a little bit, but we'll straighten them out. Okay, so I've got my loop here, right here. The end of my strand right there, that little bit bigger spot showing. I hold this, I'm going to find a little one that is dry. I'm just going to thread the end of the strand here through the hole. Okay. Now you don't want a big hole on your flowers because you don't want your stamens to go through. There are your stamens. Then what I do, while the loop is still attached, it's easier for me to do this. There are a few ways you can do this. I just take my glue, go around, you can see here, I go around and up the stamens a little bit. I have good look. And then I go on to the flower too. I'll show you in a moment, but I just build up the glue fairly much. Um, Not going to focus very well. If you can see, the glue is built up some, and if I don't think it's quite enough, like there's a spot here I want a little bit more that the stamens aren't covered real well, I add more glue. And again, this is where a hot glue would be really nice. This is quick drying glue, so this is just barely hard glue, but this works. Then what you want to do, find a scissors and cut the center of the stamens, or cut the stamens so it's, don't cut the loop, just cut through the stamens themselves. Okay, and then I just let it sit and dry. I can get this loop out of here. Oh, I didn't get one cut. Duh. I think it's time to use my other scissors too. There. Okay. Now when this dries, here's my flower. When this glue dries, I just set it upside down like this off to the side. Then I'll cut the rest of the stamens off. I'm not going to show you the other way. I don't have the stuff cut, and I don't have good luck with it, so I'm showing you how I'm doing it. I'm only going to use 2 stamens for this one. I'm going to use 3 for this one with the center up, and I'll show you how I do this in a moment too. So I'm going to take 3 stamens, just to give you an idea again what I'm doing. If you want to use more, by all means, that's completely up to you. I was hoping this would be a little shorter video. I'm sorry. We should know by now that's not going to happen. Okay, just pulling them through. What I did again, I fold them over on the loop portion. Whoops, right here. And I just hold them and I pull them through. Just if you've got more, you know it's going to be a little bit more to tug them through. But don't pull too hard, because you're gonna, if you've got thinner paper, you're gonna pull the paper or tear the hole in the paper. So, and then I just pull them through. Now these I want to stick up a little. Well, they're gonna go down. I'm not gonna. I can get them back up a little bit. If they're not even though, what you can do, like these are pretty good. They're all stuck down in there. If they don't, when you get them cut like this, before your glue dries, start pulling one by one until they're all stuck down. Because a lot of times stamens will stick up and you don't want that. So now I'm going to cut these before I glue them, because it's pretty a pretty tight hole there. Good grief, I don't know why I'm not getting my scissors to work. Anyway, the other thing I was going to show you, you can do is pull these apart. Okay, cut a little piece of paper and glue that over the top of the stamens. I don't have good luck with that. You can even just glue the stamens down like this. They may stay. If you can see, I've got a lot of, hard to see there, but I've got a lot of glue on there. And then just snip the ends off close to the glue and you're done. And that's certainly an option too. But that's how I make and color my flowers. Now the next thing you can do, and I'll do it to this one, let's see. Again, I don't have it. I'll be right back, and then I'll show you one more thing you can do that's really pretty. Just one more. Actually, there are 2 things you can do. I'm just doing one of them, but you can take glossy accents and a paintbrush, brush the petals, all your petals. You can do that before you shape it, after you shape it, whatever you want. You'll get really shiny, very hard flowers. They'll just, once they're shaped, they're not going to ever lose the shape. These don't, unless they get crushed down in like a scrapbook, or I don't mail these generally unless I put them in a box. The other thing you can do, and it's very pretty, use like a clear or colored glitter. This is white Blizzard glitter drops from Nuvo. And I just, okay, see if it's going to come out tonight. I don't know what Gary was using this morning, so of course